It was a graveyard smash. Growing up in this part of town was a truly Gothic experience. Unfortunately, no one thought to tell us that at the time, and so we had to leave it to middle age and hindsight to learn all about the infamy of our youth. Playing in a mortuary, Halloween bonfires in a graveyard, and running scared through the grounds of a mental hospital were the mainstay activities outside of summer months spent up the nearby riverbank. The graveyard is St. Stephen's, and it's situated in Upper Irishtown and lost among the houses of Connolly Park and sandwiched between two busy roads. Disused and pretty much forgotten since our heyday, it is maintained by the Borough Council and has over 100 headstones with inscriptions still legible on many of them. Its use as a burial ground ceased with the opening of St. Patrick's Cemetery in 1874, although rumours of late-night interments still abounded over 100 years later. The little roofless church that we regularly climbed is now reduced to waist-high, ivy-covered thick walls after health and safety had its wicked way with the playground of our childhood. The church was very small, hardly the size of a modern-day kitchen and dining room in area. Assuming it wasn't just built with the little people in mind, then size and wall thickness suggests it was erected with enemy bombardment foremost. Protestant preachers firing off prayers like ecclesiastical snipers in a David and Goliath confrontation, perhaps. The architect clearly had a lot of unearthly experience to go with the 95 drawings he nailed to the main door. Situated in a tranquil setting, the grounds are dotted with standing headstones, many of which resemble miniature towers of Pisa as they curtsy heavily on arthritic stone. An abundance of yew trees once grew here, but now it is just a few trees grown from the scattered seed of domestic gardens. The Halloween bonfire was undoubtedly the annual highlight and bright light of the local community. Teenagers were busy for weeks procuring the necessary flammable material to surpass hopefully, other neighbourhoods. Parents were occupied ensuring no clothes would be destroyed on washing lines and that buckets of emergency water was available in case of erring sparks making their way into coal bunkers. Then they gathered in clusters of concern like their parents before them to excoriate the youth of the day and wonder what the world was coming to. I don't ever remember any talk of fossil fuels, climate change or environmental destruction taking place around the bonfire, but I do vividly recall that on no other night of the year would you find anyone in St. Stephen's graveyard after midnight. Alive, that is. However, one notable exception readily comes to mind. I was heading to bed at a late hour when something caught my eye out the landing window at the top of the stairs. At first I was unable to make any sense of what I saw before me. The graveyard was lit up with what looked like hundreds of nightlights. Eerie and otherworldly was only the half of it. As my eyes adjusted to the darkness, I could see a shadowy figure darting about, but whether it was from heaven or Hades, I couldn't determine. An end-of-life anxiety enveloped me before reason finally got a grip. I could hear a voice whooping and hollering, which definitely helped bring the whole episode back down to earth. A young, inebriated man, intoxicated with euphoric thoughts, rushed about the graveyard between the graves with a can of oil, depositing a few drops on each headstone and setting it alight with a cigarette lighter. After some time, I managed to identify the wayward assailant who was desecrating our playground. My terror transformed into absolute fury because this villain was from a different neighbourhood.